and welcome to this new live stream. This is my first stream on Facebook using this platform called Melon. So bear with me if there's something I'm not sure about with this platform. And today, my guest is Tawni. Hello, Tawni. Very warm welcome and thank you for taking the time to be with me here.
Thank you, Erik. It's a pleasure to be here together.
And today we're going to speak about LGBT coming out. So I haven't been speaking about LGBT topics or about coming out in a while now, and this was a big topic for me for like in the time course of about 7 years. I'm a trans man, and I am now actually like 1 month. I'm 8 years and 1 month on testosterone after starting my transition. So for me, I think about when it was like about 5 years on testosterone, that's when I kind of felt that my transition is kind of over or complete. Not over, it's never over, but kind of complete. And that's when I decided to like, it wasn't much of a topic for me anymore. And that's why I kind of stopped basically talking about it on my YouTube channel. But today again, I would like to talk about it because my guest today is Tawni, and Tawni has so much to contribute to this topic as well. And we're gonna speak about coming out in general, and also you have a definition of coming out.
Sure.
Would you like to share?
Yeah, it'd be my pleasure to share. And, it's such a broad topic, and there's so many different angles to discuss it from. But here's kind of a broader definition of coming out. And so here we go. So coming out in order to live openly isn't something you do just once or even for 1 year. It's a decision that we make every single day of our lives. Every coming out experience is unique and must be navigated in a way most comfortable for the individual. Whether it's for the first time ever or the first time today, coming out can at times can be an arduous journey. It is also a brave decision to live authentically.
Oh yes, to live authentically. This is, I think, the toughest and most current, or maybe how do I put that? It's a topic which concerns everybody, not only LGBTIQ plus community, in my opinion, but everybody. To be authentic means actually be true to yourself, not let anybody else's opinions and any circumstance change who you truly are. And actually, what I forgot to mention and would like to do in the beginning of the stream, and for people who watch this as a recording, is what we want to discuss today. We want to speak about coming out in general and what are the difficulties of coming out. And also, both Tawni and I are hypnotherapists and would like to share with you some ideas how hypnotherapy can help to stay authentic, to actually understand maybe what authenticity is, and how to live it. And Donnie, your ideas were also how how hypnotherapy can help with reliving the symptoms, right? That come up, that come with maybe you want to elaborate on that.
Sure. Well, we have all these fancy words that are, psychological words that are very helpful, that we all know: anxiety, stress, trauma, and so on and so forth. That list is on, but how do they come out? They come out as symptoms of behavior. And so I think some of the symptoms of not being authentic, and I think the beauty of many of the LGBTQ plus topics is they're human issues, but they're dialed up to such an intensity that coming to terms with them can be much more challenging. And second, also the payoff is incredible. So going back to your question about symptoms is, I think many people can feel like they're living a lie. They're
Mm-hmm.
living the life they're supposed to. They're living the life that they're raised to do via their family, their culture, their background. But it feels like their life is something in a strange movie. It just feels like a lie. And
Yeah.
so that lie may have lots of pain associated with that. That is
Mm-hmm.
one symptom. I think another symptom is that because you're not really authentically yourself, you look for approval outside of yourself. You
Yeah.
want to that other people, almost like you're an actor wanting people to applaud you,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. To see if what you do is what they expect you to do, and what is the right thing to do. And that is how um, we learn to actually detach from ourselves, from our truest selves. Because when we always look for approval outside of us, we stop even hearing what's happening inside of us. And you said something earlier, um, that was not living a lie, right? Um, Interestingly, if we are living a lie and not presenting ourselves in the authentic manner and not experiencing life as ours, it's somehow bear with me with this one. So it is somehow manipulative from our side, because if I'm living a lie, I'm basically not showing my truest self. So it means that I am showing someone else who I'm not, and in this way manipulating people who are surrounding me into something that they have no chance of knowing who I am if I'm not telling them, right? So I am manipulating them, and that's not like pointing fingers. It's just about, it's very hard. It can be very, very hard to come out, for example, to your loved ones. But it actually is so hard, in my opinion, because all these years we were presenting ourselves as somebody else, and they believed us, right?
Yes.
So
And we wanted to believe that too, for many
exactly.
reasons.
Hmm. We did.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
So
just
how
to make one,
go?
just to just to interject, just to make clear to the audience, and I don't think I mentioned it, I am a transgender woman. And so, similar, Erik and I are on the different sides of the spectrum. So that's why I'm talking truth to this experience.
Mhm.
So please continue.
And also because I'm not used to streaming anymore. I did that weekly before, and now I'm kind of all over the place. I didn't even introduce myself. So
Mhm.
I'm Erik, and I am a life coach and a therapist. And so now, where I see myself on this journey, and this is a never-ending journey, in my opinion, um, is people, to help people to understand who they truly are. And because of my background, I understand how it is if you feel misunderstood, if you don't even know who you are. Because I think, as Tawni said, um, LGBT topics are human topics, right? So I think if somebody lives through um, an understanding uh, of oneself on any kind of topic, and in this case, it is a transgender topic, then it can be applied to other topics too, because it's the same kind of mechanism, in my opinion.
Mhm. Yes,
So, yeah.
it is the same mechanism, and I agree. And again, these are light topics, but if you delve deeper into what are the symptoms they of not being authentic, they go into these variety of terms that we all use, to anxiety,
Yeah.
depression, trauma, or even worse forms of PTSD, et cetera, et cetera. Or you're mentioning this thing, and this is something that I've experienced, and I think many in the audience experiences, that if you're living authentic, you disconnect from yourself in a way to be inauthentic,
Hmm.
and it's really it comes down to a survival. A
Yeah.
lot of these things, so we can, so when you're inauthentic, at some point you can really lose yourself in that whole thing. You begin to not know who you are,
Hmm.
and so
Absolutely.
we use these modern terms like your grounding or your solidity, or the core of who you are. It really gets lost in that process, and at some points that's where it can get very dangerous or scary, and you can set yourself up for a whole bunch of things that could be very harmful.
And exactly for that reason, I guess you said, you suggested to say that it is the hardest person to come out to is oneself, right? And because if we are playing roles, wearing masks, our whole lives, then actually at some point that is we have to understand that that's a denial, right? We're in denial. And the
Mhm.
first thing we need to understand and accept is um, that we need to see that who we truly are, and not try to um, reject it, accept it.
Yeah. Well, I think what happens is you have to unwind a lot of behavior that's built up over a lifetime, you
Hmm.
know? And one thing that strikes me is that I started, I came out to myself at a very way older, much. I came out to myself when I was mm, maybe 53, okay?
53. Mm.
53, which meant all those years I was
Hmm.
fighting it. I was
Yeah,
fighting who I
yeah,
was.
yeah.
And I think one morning I finally woke up and thought, why am I doing this? Why am I spending so much energy trying to do this anymore? And so I really think part of the coming out to myself is just this realization that what I was doing and how I was living
Hmm.
was harming.
And it is exhausting, isn't it? Trying to be someone you're not. And interestingly, this falls into this uh, same kind of. There's a statement that feelings always overrule logic, and I think that's exactly what happens. Like our truest selves, our feeling is we always know in our gut, in our heart, who we are. And trying to fight that is very exhausting because we're trying to fight the logic. And for 53 years, for you, logic tried to win. That's why it's so exhausting, right? In my case, it
Yes.
was 30 years. In my opinion, that's very long as well. Mm, And so, how do you think hypnotherapy can help with that?
Oh, wonderful question. I think one, there's accumulate, like we talked a little bit about symptoms. So we
Yeah.
accumulate behavior that becomes ingrained. Okay. So
Hmm.
one reason hypnotherapy can help is it can help, number one, allow a client to come up with resources and
Right.
ideas and give the client options, you know, because what happens is when you have a behavior that's accumulated, it's like a loop. You just keep going.
Right.
It's like, or the karmic merry-go-round. You just go around and around and around. And so at some point, it's like hypnosis gives a person a deeper access and deeper understanding and
Hmm.
deeper options that they never considered before, that breaks that loop. It's like, well, maybe you can stand off of the merry-go-round and have a fresh perspective.
Hmm.
Co-
So,
And How do you think it works?
I think I absolutely agree with that. Like we dive into the subconscious mind and we dig out resources which were always there, which were just hidden very well because of some mechanisms, and which were trying to protect us, right? Protective mechanisms, but they are not serving us anymore. And that's it's a fight. It's a lifelong fight, fighting against ourselves, basically. And that's why I think that's the hardest to come out to ourselves, because that's the fight we need to stop. And in hypnosis, I think what truly also happens is that we can understand, at least for me, it was like that there were still open fights in me, somewhere really deep inside, which I thought were all calmed down by now by just being out, by just doing the transition. I thought it's all done. I'm fine. Everything is wonderful, especially because um, the passing is perfect. What else can I hope for? And I have a wonderful family. I have a wife and a kid and a job, but like everything. My life is wonderful. So it feels like everything is, I'm complete. Everything is complete. So I must be happy. But then in hypnotherapy, some situations came up in which tears just run down. And I was like, I thought that door was closed. Like, I thought that business was finished. And so we found out some really deep hidden beliefs, which sounded something like, I will never be a man enough. Just like that. Very simple, you know. And that came when I was 3. And so that's a fight which was very well hidden in me, inside of me. But nevertheless, my life looks very happy at the moment. At that moment of the session, so about half a year ago, I found out that was a fight which wasn't finished, and I think, and because of that session, I finished that fight and closed the door, and that didn't ever appear again. And that's actually something you can't really measure. It's very difficult to measure, in my opinion, because logically, I understood back then and I understand now that you do not compare the enoughness of different people. You either feel you are enough or you don't feel it. There is no subjective opinion about that, right? There is no, it's never, can't be subjective, right? But the only thing I can say is that this inner struggle, this inner tension concerning that topic, it was lifted from my shoulders and it's just not there anymore.
Well, I think the interesting path of working in these areas, hypnosis, therapy, even healing arts, part of that journey is one's own self-healing. And you can offer what you have to give. If you've healed and addressed your issues, then that's what you have to give. And so I would say, particularly for myself, when I was young, I knew I was different. I knew I was different at a young age. I think somewhere intuitively, my family, my parents knew I was different, but then everybody ends up doing these strange overcompensations and then et cetera, et cetera. So for me personally, especially my journey with hypnotherapy, it really was alleviating an accumulation of a lot of trauma that I had experienced for not being myself, trying to live that way. And that's why it's like almost self-torture, because it's like, why did I wait so long? But on the other side of the equation, what I do like to share with people or offer to people is, number one, it is just never too late.
Yeah.
So
thank you for
what
putting
I
that
felt, it is never too late to be yourself. It's never too late to tap into something that maybe hasn't been tapped into yet. It's never too late. And because for me, I think what this, addressing those issues of trauma through hypnotherapy, and there's a lot. It blocked me at a lot of things, and that relief, all of a sudden, what it just gave me this beautiful closure of my past. Because much like you, your experience was, oh, I realized these things that I didn't like. I could never be enough as transitioning. And in my case, it was that I had this obsession, like, why did I wait so long? And why
Right.
couldn't, and I barely any time now, and I have to go out and boy, I have
Mm.
to do everything. And I have to, and so I was like, yet again exerting pressure on myself that wasn't healthy. And getting this closure
Mm.
on so much of my past is, well, I have an appreciation. I have appreciation for the person that I was because that person led me to this point, you know.
Yes.
And and when I did transition, I could do it in a way that was very thorough. And
Mm.
being, both of us might share the same former careers as being in engineering. So when I transitioned, I just wanted to get everything right about me because I realized, my life is short and I don't have time to mess it up. So I want to do it right. So I think hypnotherapy and working together with hypnotherapists and continuing on my voyage that way, it allowed me to achieve this closure on
Mm.
many things in my life that were quite traumatic. You know, I was married for over 20 years and
Mm.
us getting divorced, it was a mutually traumatic experience. And me not being authentic in the marriage created so many difficult things. It created so much. And so, there's guilt. And then as when you go through the divorce process, all this stuff comes out. And I think hypnotherapy allowed me to put that to come to peace with it. And so to be at peace with all these issues and to, you know, it is like, you have corn and you have the husk of the corn. And it was
Yeah.
just like getting rid of that husk and seeing the pure, vegetable for what it is, or I
Right.
want to call it a fruit. So anyway,
Mm.
those, for me personally, it gave a beautiful clarity. So as a hypnotherapist, I want to offer that light. I want to offer access. The client can have self access to that life they want.
Yes, I agree so much that it is the guilt and mm, the struggle within a relationship in which a person is not themselves is so heavy. It's such a heavy burden, and it's a heavy burden for the whole family. Each family member carries that, and I think this is with I think authenticity in and of itself is such a big thing. It needs to be written in capital letters in any relationship because, in my opinion, only then can a relationship be happy. Because whenever we're trying to be someone else, to do something we think others want us to do, this is going away from your truest self. And by this, although it might feel like we are coming towards the other person, by this we're distancing ourselves from them. It's so counterintuitive at the moment, but
Mhm.
that's what it is.
Well, it's a little bit like trying to polish, like if you have a reflection, the reflection's a little dirty. It's
Mhm.
like like the reflection isn't good. It's like you're trying to polish the mirror, but
Right.
not polish your inner self.
All
And
right.
so it doesn't matter how many times you try and polish that mirror, it's still not going to offer a result. But if you,
Exactly.
little by little, if you polish that inner side of you, then
Mm.
little by little, this more beautiful self of you is going to bloom and reflect the true beauty that who you are.
Yes, and actually, in the same manner, people, for example, who are looking for a relationship, LGBT plus people, anybody, okay, who is looking for someone, some of them have many who are struggling with finding a partner have the thought that um, that they first have to meet somebody who will love them, and then they will be able to love themselves.
Okay.
And that is actually how it's not working. It works exactly the other way around. We have to start inside. We have to start loving ourselves first. And then can we allow someone else, give permission to the whole world to love us? That's the only way it works.
Yes. Well, it's like the saying, we can't give what we don't have. So, to love ourselves. And I really think the act of, of being your authentic self, but in the equation of transgender or the equation of LGBTQ plus, to really come to terms with who you are and really feel good about that, even to feel good about the imperfect part of it, to feel good about your faults and your errors, but to truly, one, to be authentic and self-love, just they're two sides of the same coin. Now you can give something that you have. And yes, I was raising my hand because yes, I'm, I am the point where I really definitely want that next life partner. And so that's what I'm, and I know you're married and you have a family. So that's what I'm looking for.
Right. And it's so interesting that people oftentimes think, especially transgender people who are transitioning, they oftentimes think, first, I have to become this and that. First, I have to have this surgery and enough of HRT, hormone therapy, replacement head therapy. And then I will be woman enough, man enough, lovable enough to get a partner, etc., etc., etc. And and that can exactly be transferred on any other any person who are trying to achieve something. For example, if somebody wants to um, um, lose weight, they might have thought that only when they lose weight will they be enough and lovable and worthy of a partnership. And that's exactly, absolutely the same thinking and absolutely the same mechanism. We have to start inside. First, I have to love myself for what I am. First, I have to love and accept the body I am born into. And then, out of that love, can I do the transition? And out of that love, can I lose weight? And out of that love, I can find a partner. And that's exactly what RTT or hypnotherapy can help with, is to find out why, where is this self-love is not working, for what reasons, what lies beneath. So if somebody comes to you, Tawni, for example, and says, I cannot find a partner or I can't lose weight, I don't understand why. I think in that session, you will not work with that person about, we won't talk about the weight or what they eat or how to find a partner. We'll probably dig into the reasons behind why they don't accept themselves the way they are right now.
Well, there's a lot there. I would just kind of like preface that when in any therapeutic setting, if somebody comes for an issue, like, I want to quit smoking, I have a problem with alcohol, or I want a partner, it's never about that. That issue is just symptom of the behavior.
It's a symptom. That's it.
And so as somebody, hypnotherapist, therapist, whatever. So it's like you have to realize that's just a symptom. And so if you go into the therapeutic realm, you get deeper into what the core of that is. Okay. So one, as a therapist, I never make any preconceptions, any assumptions. You're just going to be present for the person. And then as you go into the process, what's going to unfold is the narrative of their life, or the direction of their life, and the issues that are really determinant of the direction that narrative has gone. So the beauty, like we were talking earlier, the beauty is you get to give the person a different set of, or the therapeutic process actually allows the client to release lots of beliefs or lots of thoughts or even lots of hurt, because, in
Mm-hmm.
my case, I had enormous amounts of hurt that I never expressed, enormous amounts,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so it allows those parts to be released. It
Mm-hmm.
allows maybe those conflicting beliefs to get to the core of it. And it's like, okay, now you have a chance for different options. Now you can actually work with what you want to do. And what we thought was just a symptom may come down to something so ridiculously fundamental, but it's so deeply ingrained. It's hard to actually bring it to the surface unless you're in this type of therapeutic environment.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I experienced in that session I spoke about earlier. Um, when I was pointed into that's hurt. That's that's just painful. What you thought when you were 3, that was just painful. And for me, hearing those words, that's so actually that's so um, trivial. But I never thought I was worth of um, expressing that, as if saying that that is painful. Um, that's so trivial that it doesn't need to be said. It's just in the past, and it's it should stay buried there.
Yeah.
That was the feeling.
Well, I think that as we're raised to deny those things because
Yeah,
we're not supposed to.
yeah.
So I think it's natural. But
Mm,
you know, so I think that if I think to what I think about right now, I'm kind of sharing my voyage. But actually, as I think about what are the people going through, what is
mhm,
their experience that could be so different than mine, and
mhm,
that's why when I see people, I just want to have the most open mind possible.
right.
I
Mhm,
don't want to make any preconceptions, any judgments, especially I just want to have when people work with me, I want to be the most accepting, safe place ever.
yeah.
But, and also, you know, people and clients will, when they come up with resources or ideas about how they relate to what is the core issue,
Yeah.
it'll be incredibly creative. And sometimes it
Mhm.
can be way beyond what I'm going to think. So,
Exactly, exactly.
so So we create this, what is beautiful about this process is you create this environment where the person's own self empowerment can be
Mhm,
or their own empowerment and creativity can
mhm,
now be unleashed
mhm.
about what this issue is. And they get to go forward. And so for me, it just never fails to blow me away how it's kind of like I'll get these messages like, wow, I never knew it was this issue, and now it's like so easy, I can do this. And for me as a practitioner, that's like the goal as a practitioner, because that's why I'm here. That's I
Yeah,
think in a way, you know all the challenge and all the difficulty I went through it, as you become more authentic, as you become more true, as you live that life,
yeah.
what was such intense suffering flips over and becomes your superpower.
Absolutely, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So everybody, everybody's hurt, a person's hurt becomes their superpower once they um, get through it. It's like I also love the saying, and if you're walking through hell, keep going, or if you're going through hell, keep going, don't stop. Because also when you do go on, um, in the end, it will become your superpower. I really love that.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I just think, you know, and what I want to offer to people is like, yeah, you have all of this inside of you, and
Hmm.
it just gets all jumbled up with all this stuff. And, as therapists, we get to untie that. And guess what? A few sessions, whatever the sessions are necessary, one can have a profound effect, or a few, it might be a more different, different circumstance. But it's like, after all that, it's like, go live a great life.
Yeah.
Have sincerely have the most wonderful life possible. You're
Hmm.
free now.
Yes. And with the audio recording, we are helping to support this repetition process. Whatever resources were found during the session, we pick them up and place them into the recording. And as you said, it's so important to be open, so open that we can pick up those resources, those creative ideas that each and every person have without pushing them to any direction, because they have their most creative and most incredible resources, which will work exactly for them. What works for the one person wouldn't work for the other, or what works for me wouldn't probably work for you or for any client. That's why if whenever somebody asks for any um, consultations on what to do, that's not that's not what helpful in such a session, right? There, in any possible situation, we would ask, "What do you think would you do? Um, what do you think would help you the most?" So, yes, um, I think this topic is so wide and so big. We could talk for hours,
Right.
and so maybe next time we can explore more case studies, more
Sure.
interesting stories which we encountered, and also maybe if people watch this in as a recording and have questions to Tawni or to myself, just put them down below in the comment section, and we'll be happy to answer them. And if you have any topic ideas you want to you want us to discuss, definitely we'll be happy to do that.
Yeah.
So,
And also, I'll just add, and I'll let you go back. It's like sometimes it never fails to amaze me how just amazingly intelligent our communities that we speak to are, and how they may get things even way deeper than myself. So that's why I love the commentary. And I love it because it also presents this creativity. So I think
mhm.
definitely, but anyway, I just wanted to make that one
Yes.
tad. So go back to you.
Oh, I was just wrapping it up. Um, Thank you so very much, Tawni, to be here, to be my guest, and we can repeat this on any other platform. We can explore YouTube and Instagram. Let's see what works best, because
Mhm.
this platform for me now is absolutely new. We'll see if I mean I really love the way it works, and especially the idea of the option of streaming on several platforms. So we'll have to definitely explore that idea. And so, yeah, thank you very much for joining me today. From, are you in LA right now?
No, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona.
You're in Phoenix right now. Okay. So from
Yes.
Phoenix, I'm here in Tenerife, in Spain, Europe. So this is basically the best time we can we can meet when it's evening but not night yet, and here and morning in in California. Oh no, in Arizona.
Mhm.
So yes, thank you very much, and please share ideas, everybody who has them, and we talk to you soon.
Thank you.